And one. Hey, good morning. It is the Good Morning Show, Tuesday, the June 9th edition already. I can't believe it. Like it's going crazy. This time is just whipping by. So our guest today is the lovely Waleuska Lazo, and she is a passionate, expressive, engaging entrepreneur, writer, and mother of two with a flair for telling compelling, relevant, and thought-provoking stories. Her writing is raw and healing because it evokes a range of emotions and life-changing behavior for her readers. From her personal journey of self-development has come her mission to help women reclaim their natural power. So good morning, welcome to the Good Morning Show. And for those tuning in, welcome. Again, this is your place every week just to sort of power up and get a little bit of good news for a change. Welcome, Waleuska, nice to have you this morning.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here.
I am too. It was, whenever you ask somebody, you always kind of, in the back of your mind, you're going, hope they say yes. And you said yes right away. So that's good. So we're talking about gratitude this day. And Ralph Waldo Emerson once said this about gratitude: cultivate the habit of being grateful and for every good thing that comes to you, and give thanks continuously. And because all things have contributed to your advancement, you should include all things in your gratitude. Who are we giving thanks to when we express our gratitude, Waleuska?
To the universe, to the field, to the energy that surrounds us, because we're all energy. And when you give gratitude, you're not only giving gratitude for the good things in your life. Gratitude is so much more than that. It's really about being grateful for every circumstance and painful experience that you've had in your life. Because like the quote says, ultimately, it was there to serve a purpose and to bring you to where you're supposed to be in life. So therefore, nothing is really bad, right? Because it's just circumstances that you have to go through to heal and to evolve.
Is there a connection between one's spirituality and their relationship with God or the universe, as you put it, and one having a grateful heart? Is there, can the two live like apart, or do they go hand in hand?
They're not apart, and they don't have to go hand in hand. I mean, you can be spiritual and not religious, right? So right. It really is just, it's believing in something that's greater than yourself. And some people call that a God, and some people call that the field, the universe, the matrix, whatever name you want to give it. It's in what it boils down to is believing in something that's bigger than yourself, believing that there are forces out there that are divine and that are guiding you and, always protecting you. So, yeah.
Okay, I love that. It's kind of comforting to know in these times, where Absolutely. These, times of change and disruption and who knows what, right? So it's nice it is comforting to know that there's forces around you that are protecting you and that do have your back. Positive psychology defines gratitude in a way where scientists can measure its effects and thus argue that gratitude is more than a feeling of being thankful. It's a deeper appreciation for someone or something that produces longer lasting positivity. In your work and in this 5-minute gratitude experiment program that you've developed and teach, that simply being grateful for 5 minutes a day can unlock happiness and fulfillment. That's a pretty bold promise, Waleuska. Can you share how that result manifests in our lives?
Yes. Yeah. It seems like not enough, for the lasting effects that it has, but it has been proven, especially with modern science, that now that they're able to measure electrically what happens in your heart when you go under the emotions of gratitude, compassion, care, kindness, whenever you connect to what it's associated as a heartfelt emotion, what happens in your body immediately is that you release about 1,400 biochemical
Wow.
changes happen in your body, and they're not immediate, and they're not fleeting. They have proven that, they're long lasting. So, you're releasing a lot of chemicals in your body to match the very emotion that you're having. So, if you're engaging in, you're feeling compassion for someone or something, your body immediately goes to work to create more of the same chemicals, right? So if you are, giving thanks for your immune system, for your body being healthy, then, you start to create more chemicals that have healing hormones. The same way you will start creating the negative chemicals when you are under stress, under anxiety. Cortisol, adrenaline goes up, and it's very harmful to your body. And what people need to understand is that when you get into a fight with someone, you get into an argument, or you're in traffic and you're, saying bad things to the
How
other
do you know? You've been watching me drive?
and then that passes. For you, the fight has ended, but, physiologically and biologically, it hasn't ended, and your system is still pretty charged up for at least 6 hours. So I tell, my students in the course that, 5 minutes in the morning, before you even have a chance to check your phone, to prime your body, to give thanks for everything you have in your life, because that sets you up for the rest of the day. And it has been proven time and time again with over 800 people from 83 countries that it works. Everyone says that since they started practicing those 5 minutes in the morning, that their lives are calmer, they're not as reactive. Some of them say they can even focus better at work. They have, higher capacity to retain information. And that's what gratitude does. It makes you look at the world through different lenses, with a new heart. It makes you very mindful of everything, the beauty that sometimes we don't see because we're in such a hurry to go through life.
Yeah, we really are. We've got to kind of, and this is really, COVID-19, some people say, oh, it's the worst thing. But to me, it's a blessing because it does force us to slow down and be grateful or not, So, having a practice of gratitude, you alluded to a few benefits of it, Waleuska. And here are a few other life-enhancing benefits that might surprise those watching or listening today. One is self-control, believe it or not. So let's say you're trying to quit smoking or drop a bad habit. When you look at the bright side of the dropping that bad habit, like being grateful, oh, my lungs will feel better. I'll have more energy. I'll save money. So gratitude helps there. Also, better athleticism. A team can actually perform better. They've done studies on this when the crowd is cheering them on. And of course, if you reinforce gratitude for yourself, your body, and that you're doing a sport that you love, that helps overall athletic performance too. So, and of course, gratitude affects relationships and quality of life and work and many other aspects. But my question is this for you. What is it about gratitude that speaks to you so deeply and that now is the foundation, the key foundation for your work in empowering others?
Well, gratitude is the mother of all other virtues. Everything starts with gratitude because, when you learn to be grateful for everything that you currently have in your life, not what you think that you need, but for the things that you currently have, what ends up happening is, you start to connect to a power that's bigger than yourself. That's why sometimes people look for happiness in external sources and it doesn't last. You can go buy yourself a car, you can get yourself a new girlfriend, and it's fleeting, because then you're on to the next thing. And when you adopt gratitude as your daily habit in your life, it truly gives you lasting happiness because it makes you see the world very differently. You surrender the judgment of things and you become extremely accepting of every circumstance. It doesn't mean that you're going to like everything that is happening in your life. You don't have to, But if you can find something to be grateful for at every moment, then your life is going to be one of peace. Then you're going to find lasting happiness.
Wow, that's quite the takeaway. Now, when you work with a client and they're doing the 5-minute gratitude experiment work with you,
Mm-hmm.
what changes have you witnessed in those that that do incorporate this, 5 minutes of gratitude every day?
Well, every person comes to adopt or to develop the habit of gratitude for different reasons. And what the course does is you have to go through every layer of your life. And childhood conditioning, or the inner child, is a huge part of the work because, let's face it, we are all dealing with traumas in our life, some more than others. And you can't try to heal your life and change any aspect of it unless you're willing to go to the root of what caused, that behavior, or, those limiting beliefs that you have. Because reality is that everything that affects you as an adult is linked to your childhood. That's where you birth your belief systems and the way you relate to the world. So the students are taught to go back in time and to, not relive the trauma, but to change the experience, to change the feeling, the emotion that they attach to that. And why it's so important to do that is because every time that you have an emotion or something that triggers you, that is linked to a painful event in your life, your body creates neuropeptides.
Mm-hmm.
And these neuropeptides, wanna be able to flow and, be free from your body. But if you have an unresolved issue, what happens is that it can metabolize. And so now it gets stored into the cellular level in your organs. And so over time, those childhood traumas can lead to inflammations in your body. It can lead to an illness, because every conceivable illness is tied to an emotional and energetic imbalance, right? So if you don't go back and heal your unresolved traumas, you are going to constantly face similar circumstances in your life. They may come dressed differently, but they're always going to be there until you heal the pattern, because the pattern shows up in your life as a flashlight to show you the parts of you that need healing. So in my opinion, you cannot change or heal any aspect of your life unless you're willing to go to the root of it.
Right. So how did you make that sort of connection between practicing gratitude, yet also looking at past traumas and healing our inner wounds, which are usually formed in childhood? I know I've done inner childhood work and trying to heal wounds. And yeah, my beliefs formed as a 10-year-old, and maybe even younger, but definitely as a 10-year-old, because there was a trauma that happened then, have stayed with me my entire life pretty well, and have kind of reared their ugly head at times, preventing me from living my best life. So how did you sort of catch on that gratitude and connecting to your inner child and your past traumas? How did you sort of come across that, and then how does gratitude help heal?
Well, the first thing that you need to know is that whenever we're dealing with childhood conditionings, the subconscious mind cannot recognize time and space. So, whether the event happened 10 minutes ago or 30 years ago, to the subconscious mind is the same. So the body perceives it as real. Oh yeah. And that's why a lot of people keep reliving that trauma. If you are a person that as a child you felt unloved or you felt abandoned, you're going to attract people and circumstances into your life that will mirror those very experiences that you had as a child. And that's why it's so important to go back to the beginning And so to your question is, how did I stumble with, gratitude and healing and energy and all of that? I have no idea. I was very ill for a period of 3 years. I had a chronic irritation, and I went to every conceivable specialist in Toronto. I went to the States. I even went to Nicaragua to find different cures, and they were running every conceivable test, and they had no clue what it was, because everything would come back negative. So I was doing one of my workouts, and I was listening to, I guess, a podcast or something on YouTube, and they had this doctor talk about, the power to heal. And he said something really interesting. He said, if you think of it logically, a disease is something that starts inside the body. So why would you think to go outside the body to heal it? And to me, that was a huge awakening moment.
Mm-hmm.
It really spoke to me. And I guess I was ready to hear the message. And then I started to really analyze, and not knowing what I had made me realize that this had to do with something emotional, some energetic blockage that I had, because that's what happens. We carry all our traumas inside our bodies. If you don't release them, they will become an illness. So I thought, okay, I need to figure out a way to go back and see where this is coming from. And not knowing what I had no choice but to go through every layer. So I kind of stumbled on this beautiful system called FMTG, 5 minutes to gratitude, because I had to go through every layer of my life to figure out what is it that's causing this irritation.
And what was it? Are you at liberty to say, or would you?
Yeah, abandonment. I always felt abandoned as a child. I attracted relationships in my life that did the same. People that did not love me, that abandoned me, that hurt me and betrayed me. So I kept all that pain inside. And so I started, analyzing things. And every time I stumble on a painful memory, I would just thank it. I would send gratitude to it. I would say, thank you. Thank you to the symptoms that I was having, because they were really there to show me something. They were not there to hurt me. See, I shift my perception. I was not longer afraid of the illness. I was actually embracing the illness, embracing the symptoms, and thanking them for waking me, for ringing a bell to finally say, okay, look at your life from the inside out and release whatever needs to be released, heal whatever needs to, be healed. And every day I would wake up in the morning. Before I would get out of bed, I just run into a habit of saying, thanks for different things in my life. And at the beginning, it was extremely difficult. 5 minutes felt eternal. And it sounds crazy and mean to say, but I couldn't connect to gratitude. But I made it a challenge, and I wouldn't get up from that bed until I had spent 5 minutes in gratitude. And as time went by, what ended up happening is that 5 minutes wasn't enough, and I sort of like having all these crazy thoughts going through my mind. And there were so many that I thought, okay, wait, I need to start putting things into categories. So I would organize my thoughts. And one morning I would just say, okay, today you're going to go and give thanks for your internal organs, for functioning the way they do, giving thanks to your heart for pumping 2 gallons of blood a day, 100,000 gallons in a day. Oh, another. So the next morning I would say, okay, today you're going to be giving gratitude for every person that ever hurt you. Today you're going to give gratitude for every decision that you took that was, bad. And I started to forgive myself. I started giving gratitude for the person that I was, and trying to love myself with all my imperfections. And so what ended up happening is that, a month into this system of just giving gratitude, I have forgotten that I had not complained once about the irritation.
Wow.
Yeah, I was able to walk and go about my day, not even thinking of it. And that's when it hit me. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not feeling the illness. And the only new thing that was in my life that was different was the 5 minutes. of immersing myself in giving gratitude, even for the bad, even for the painful events in my life. I was giving gratitude for everything and just really shifting my mindset to look at what I had, the life that I was so graciously giving, rather than always living in a place of lack. I was very blessed. I had a thriving business, beautiful family, but I was always thinking about all the things that I didn't have, and I thought I needed to be happy. And it was not until I shifted to really look at the beautiful life that I had is that I started to attract more of the same things. So that's how the universe works. It's a mirror, right? And it mirrors what you feel inside. So whatever emotions that you feel on a consistent basis, it mirrors them back to you. So if you're constantly focused on lack, it's going to mirror lack back to you. But if you're focusing on your blessings, on being healthy, that's what you're gonna get. And 3 months after that, the symptoms didn't come back, and now it's 6 years, and the symptoms have never returned.
Wow, that's a beautiful share, and that's what you just said there is like that's the whole lesson, and then now you've taken what you've learned and now you're teaching others.
Yes.
So it's funny how you've taken your pain and now you're transforming your pain and now you're helping others. So that's really beautiful.
That's what gratitude does, right? It makes you find the gift in your pain.
Right.
And when you find that gift, you can't help but wanting to share it with others. That's another byproduct of gratitude, where you feel this moral responsibility to go and share that gift with others.
Yeah. For at least 2,000 years, intellectuals have been considering the importance that gratitude plays in our daily life. Ancient and not so ancient philosophers such as Cicero, Seneca, Adam Smith, all preach the importance of giving thanks. Cicero and Seneca thought of gratitude as a key virtue and foundational to any successful civilization. We're seeing such unrest in our civilization these days. Do we need a collective day of gratitude, like worldwide or south of the border where we're seeing a lot of social unrest in their civilization? What's your take on that, Waleuska?
I think that, people tend to look at things too broad, and you don't have to worry about doing a day of gratitude worldwide to heal the world. If you can if each person does their job about healing their own lives, about expressing gratitude for their own space, for what they have, what happens is you are elevating that, you elevate your frequency, and that frequency, suddenly touches the world. So you don't have to have massive amounts of people coming together to heal what's happening, out there in the US or around the world. If, you can heal the world yourself, because if you raise your vibration, you really are raising the vibration of the world, because we're all connected. We are all energetically connected. So if every person starts to do this, eventually, we are going to heal the world. And I think that there's so much going on that doesn't get reported, unfortunately, doesn't make the news, the way so many deaths and COVID-19 and what's happening in the US and everything, and it's sad because the world doesn't know that there is massive movements of people all around the world that are doing ordinary people that are doing extraordinary things to heal their planet. And so I don't look at the world in a pessimistic way. Yeah, there's stuff going on in the world,
It always has been.
We're going through a situation where, you see the extremes, but there's also a lot of healing taking place. And I think that the younger generation are, very sensitive and very caring of the environment and, social rights. I think there's a lot of hope where a lot of people don't see that. I think that, the underlying basis of the human spirit is not to fight and to compete. It's actually to cooperate and to protect. And so I see a lot of that happening in our world.
I like that. Now, let me ask you something. What if you express your appreciation for others, yet those close to you rarely ever express it back? What's that about? To me, it's maybe that others don't have like a high enough self-love quotient, and that they find it hard to love and appreciate someone else back. What's your take on that?
I think that if you are going to be thanking someone or doing good things for someone, you can't do them thinking that, you're going to get a reaction back, that they're going to reciprocate the same thing, because then it's not genuine. If you're going to express gratitude towards someone, that's your journey. You can't control what other people are going to do, how other people are going to react, or what they're going to say. So every person is responsible for their own self, for their own journey. And, the more that you give yourself, the more that you put yourself out there to be of service, it does come back to you. It may not be immediate. It may not be by that one person, but it works. I mean, this really works. You just can't be judging others, because every person's different, right? And when you do that, you're expecting them to react the way you would. But of course they won't, because they're different people, right? So the best thing that you can do is, you worry about yourself and know that every person has their own journey. And sorry, and just to add to your point,
yeah,
some people will react badly and some people will treat you bad, but you have to know that it has nothing to do with you. Whenever someone is triggered and they're mean to someone else, 99% of the time has nothing to do with you. They're being triggered because of some unresolved issue, or something that they're going on with their own lives and they're unhappy, right? So the more you learn to love yourself, the more you learn to feel whole and complete, the better your relationships that you have with yourself, the better relationships you're going to have with other people, because it's the relationships you have with others is a direct reflection of the relationship you have with yourself. If you love yourself, you won't have relationships that hurt you, right? Because you love yourself enough to set healthy boundaries.
Yes. Yeah. Or to, cut loose, right? With love, of course, right?
Love. But yes.
I've got the 5-minute gratitude experiment page up on the screen share here. In the 5-minute gratitude experiment work you're doing, Waleuska, you allude to the notion that gratitude is an act of self-love and nurturing oneself too. Why is that, and how does that play out in our day-to-day lives?
Well, because everything starts with you, right? You're the one who's in control. You're not a victim. You're fully responsible, and everything that you have gone through in your life, you have attracted. And people get very upset when I say this, because they say, well, what do you mean? I went through a horrible divorce. Does that mean I attracted that? They find it really difficult. And unfortunately, energetically at some level, you attracted that, because when you live your life on low vibrating emotions, you attract whatever's also vibrating at your same frequency, right? So you attract people that are also vibrating low, and that will hurt you. So the course goes in very detail to teach people how they're responsible for their own life. You can't be the victim, and you can't continuously blame your circumstances on external things. Everything starts and ends with you. So
yeah, and that's big for people to really take in, because we are, it's like the victim triangle in psychology. We live a lot in victimhood, and so the only way out is just to stop. So you've got the victim, the perpetrator, and the rescuer. And the only way to bail is to just stop living that way, stop being a victim, and stop blaming somebody else, and just own it and love yourself through it. It's okay. We all go through stuff one way or another. What's your feeling on that? About victimhood and blame and getting off that hamster wheel.
society programs you to always think that it's never about you, that it's always somebody else's responsibility. Everything that happens, you know, is because someone else said something or did something. Rarely are we taught to take full responsibility for what we are creating. Really, that places, you know, the individual on a very disempowered state, you know, where you're just at the mercy of, you know, whatever's happening outside of you. And I don't believe that. I think that we are powerful beyond our comprehension. That's the problem. And, you know, once you start to realize that you are the architect of your own life, you know, that you are the captain of your ship, and whatever you tell your mind, whatever blueprint you give your life of, you know, the kind of person that you want to be, the kind of life you want to create, the things you want to attract, well, your mind is so powerful because it goes to work. Whatever blueprint you give it, it's going to go to work, and it's going to find the circumstances and the people and the opportunities to match whatever you're giving it. And that's one of the things that I try to teach people. As we start to free our energy from healing and confronting our guilt and our victimhood, you know, we free a lot of energy. So in week 4 of my course, after the students have gone through layers and layers of healing, I tell them, now you're going to take all that energy that you just freed, and you're going to go create the blueprint of your life. And I have them go through, you know, visualization, where they have to connect to their heart and envision the life they want as if it has already happened, because that's the key. You know, you can wish all you want, but if you're not focusing on the outcome, it's just daydreaming.
Yeah.
Right? It's not until you're able to connect with your heart through gratitude and really feel and see that life that you want to attract as if you are living it. You know, that's when you become a magnet for miracles. I have a student who has MS, and it's beautiful because in one of these sessions, you know, he had to hear the meditation, and he connected to a future version of himself where he was walking and he was dancing. And he told me he got out of the bed, and that day, I have this beautiful testimonial that is actually, it's part of the book, where he went on a 100-feet hike, something crazy. He went hiking, and he said that that night he was able to walk without his walker. He got out of the wheelchair and he danced all night. He said he had lost his voice, and he had not played the guitar for like 6 years because he just didn't have the strength, and he played the guitar and he sang.
Wow.
So, yeah. So what happens is that he went beyond himself. He went beyond his limitations because he connected, you know, to that powerful part of him, to that future self that he was creating. And that's such a beautiful thing. So the more you invest in yourself, the more you invest in that person that you want to be, the more protective you become of that person, right? So the more you invest, you know, you're not going to go back to your old habits.
No.
You're not going to go make the bad decisions, because now you know it doesn't match that image that you're trying to create. I had another student who said, in the session, he was creating the person that he wanted to be. And in the visions, he never saw himself smoking vape. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
He said that he saw himself being successful, traveling, you know, with his kids, and none of the visions showed him smoking. And so he got up from his bed, a new person. He said, okay, I'm going to quit smoking, because it was not part of that vision that I have for myself.
Wow.
So the work is powerful, but you do have to do the work.
You got to do the work.
It's not a magic pill. It requires work, consistency, and self-love to stay on the path.
Right. And things aren't going to improve unless you put the, you know, the effort into it. We're out of time. This was a great interview. And I really thank you. Where do we reach you? I've got your website up, but where do we reach you? And what do you have going on that are, you know, those watching today or listening today need to know about?
Well, the Gratitude Experiment course runs every 6 weeks.
Okay.
and it's online. So you can just go to waleuscalazo.com/the gratitude experiment, no spaces. And that will take you to a page where you can register for the course.
Yeah.
And yeah, you'll be with people from all over the world coming together, united by the habit of gratitude to heal their lives.
I've got it here. And then your quote on your video says, and I like this, is a nice way to end actually. Nothing new can come into your life unless you have learned to feel grateful for what you already have.
Yep. It's a universal law.
I love it. Waleuska, thank you so much for this today.
Thank you.
What an absolute delight you are. And just keep doing this great work, because it's, it really is like, it's so important right now.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. And I hope that those listening, if you want to change any aspect of your life at all, you're not too late to start.
Very good. Thank you so much. That was Waleuska Lazo. She joined us from her home office in Toronto today. Thank